But at this point, if you can, please silence your phone or turn it off, or put it on airplane mode if you don't want to turn it off. And this way, we won't have any of those kinds of interruptions in the middle. Greatly appreciate that in advance. And we'll start in about 55 seconds. Because as Aliza Bill will tell you, say it.
We start on time when I'm doing lessons.
Okay. It's good. Thank God you went to the camp you went to, because I don't know if you would have done that before having done.
Aliza, what else were you told to tell us?
Actually, Aliza's giving the speech.
What was she told not to tell us?
Okay. The feeling in the room is tense.
Yes.
I got to follow the clock. There's a reason why they put a huge clock there with numbers that even I can't miss. So that's how it goes. Okay. Okay, I'm just kidding. This evening, before I begin, I want to just thank the members of the Shul who are most supportive of, it's everybody, but of course most supportive of this particular evening. Of course, it's the president, Howie Sarnoff, the members of the board, and everyone who is very heavily involved in the Shul. Too many people to mention by name, and so I will mention a few names this evening, but if I leave somebody out by name, I apologize in advance. The goal this evening, actually I had to adjust things because I got a text message from my mother-in-law saying that they're watching in Milwaukee, which is on the central time zone. They said 7 o'clock Avi, 7:30 Green Bay Packers. So you have to understand that if we're aiming to end at 8:30 our time, it's because the Packers kick off.
Go Packers!
Right, that's the way it is. Okay, my talk this evening is going to be divided into essentially 4 sections. One is to talk about programming that we had over the course of last year, and to summarize and just remind where we've come from previous years. I want to talk about programming that we have lined up for next year. I want to talk about the youth, which is a component of the Shul that we're looking to enhance and to grow greatly, our services to the youth. And then we'll round out with a few final thoughts. Okay, so this has been an incredible year of growth for our Shul. Over the course of this past year, a number of programs were added to the daily, weekly, and of course Shabbosly and monthly, etc. programming, mostly in the education department, but as well in social programs which we had and events. So just to give you a quick hit list of the things which were added over the course of this past year. I gave a Tuesday and Thursday morning class at 10 o'clock, one which was in the books of Iyov, Mishlei, and Tehillim, and the other one was on the weekly Haftorah. There was a bi-weekly class given by Kalman Fridas and Chovos Halavavos, and we Malakov's Shul Ivrit met once a week. We have daily post-Shacharis and in between Mincha and Mariv. I'm very proud to say that in the few minutes of learning that we spent twice a day, we finished most of the entire Chelik Beis of the Mishnah Berurah, which is for just 5 minutes or 15 minutes a day, is a pretty extensive accomplishment. Additionally, we went over during those time periods. On Fridays, we studied the halachos of Eruvin and Eruv Chatzeros, how far a person is allowed to go outside of the Tuchum, or if there is no Eruv on Shabbos. And we also went over many of the halachos related to every holiday and the time period on the calendar during that time. Thursday night as well, between Mincha and Mariv, we have our pre-parsha questions. These were just ways to mix up the different avenues of learning which we had in this time period when we were here after Shacharis and between Mincha and Mariv. We had a number of guest scholars over the year. Tzipora Heller was the first one, Rabbi Avi Berman of the Orthodox Union, Eli Genauer, also of the Orthodox Union, Rabbi David Cohn, who has a connection to our community, but also the Orthodox Union. We're here. We had a number of pre-mincha on Shabbos guests, some of whom have deep connections to members of our shul who were given the opportunity to speak at that time, as well as on Sukkot and Pesach and interspersed throughout the year. We had a few current events meetings in which I addressed a halachic viewpoint of things that were going on in the news. And I know Rabbi Zev Goldberg from Fort Lee came here as well on a Sunday morning. We had an amazing book club that ended with over 50 women coming, as well as a few men, to participate in discussion about the book in question, which was a book which had come out in the previous year about a Jewish subject, to hear the author speak about the book through a Skype conversation, which was facilitated by my wife. We had the program Hilchos 101, going back to the basics of a lot of areas of halachas. We had eight classes in that realm. We had pre-holiday classes preparing for every Yom Tov, special learning programs on Shavuos, in addition to the mini Leil Tikkun Shavuos that we've had in the past. We had the women's circle on the first day of Shavuos, which was a really, really beautiful program. And of course, the highlight of the year was the Seven Prophetesses program, which spanned over 2 months. We had 7 lectures about each of the Nevios, and that was a very wonderful feature in February and March. And this was, of course, all added to the features which we had beforehand: the daily Daf Yomi, which is given by Kalman Friedis, Marty Levine's classes in the book of Bereshis, which have been going on for a few years, the regular lunch and learns, I think they're once a month, the movie nights, and the spirit program. We also had, this past year, the first ever Yom HaShoah program at Anshe Chesed, which was chaired by Marty Schmidt and his committee. We had the special event Making the Wilderness Bloom by the Sisterhood in honor of Rosh Chodesh Adar, which starred a number of the women in the Sisterhood. It was written and directed by Leah Poland. We had the summer lunch program for people who are here during the summer. And of course, we had an event which we are not going to be repeating this year, the installation of our rabbi. In addition, there were several times when we participated as a shul in a themed Shabbos. A themed Shabbos means that an organization of some kind has, they're trying to raise awareness of their, whatever it is that they represent. For example, this year we participated in the National Association of the Chevra Kadisha's Shabbos, which takes place on Parshas Vayechi, to raise awareness about Jewish burial. We also participated in an infertility awareness Shabbos. I've been approached about participating this coming year in a breast cancer and ovarian cancer awareness Shabbos sometime in January. And this usually consists of, it doesn't cost the shul anything. We have to put up a flyer or a poster. Maybe I'll speak about it on Shabbos. And we join some kind of regional or national list of shuls that are participating in the theme. And if anybody has similar types of Shabboses that they're aware of, for example, we'd be happy to participate in them. It's a beautiful thing for our shul to be a part of. Now, as far as plans for this coming year, many things, of course, are continuing. Daf Yomi, Martin Levine's class, the Chuk Ivrit. The pre-holidays classes are going to be done a little differently, but we're continuing that as well. We've already begun in this month, just because we have a little more time since September began, since Rosh Hashanah is already in October, a Hebrew reading crash course, just for the benefit of people who would like to have a little bit more of a chance to participate in the Hebrew side of reading. In the Machzor, we also have a Machzor familiarity class, which has been taking place on Tuesday mornings. We have planned, Yael Roth, our member, is going to be giving a get into Rosh Hashanah, how to get the most out of Rosh Hashanah lecture, which is being sponsored by the Sisterhood, which will take place, I think, not in this coming week, but in the week after that. Hilchos 101 has already begun. We had our first one on Wednesday, and the schedule was also given out as well, and the flyer which went out, and we're looking forward to that being a very successful program. The classes that I'm giving on Tuesday and Thursday are going to change a little bit. In the Kesuvim class, I'm going to be looking at the book of Ezra, which is really the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, but this way we'll go at a little bit of a slower pace, not covering as much ground with the 3 books that we tried to cover last year, and hopefully that will be something which is a little more beneficial to everybody. On Thursday, the class that I'm going to be giving is on the book of Devarim in depth. Most people, when you study Chumash as a child, or in any study, usually focus on Bereshis, Shmos. We don't necessarily get into the later books of the Torah, so this is something looking forward to doing. I'm also going to be inaugurating a Wednesday night Parshas HaShavua class using the commentary of the Kli Yakar. It's a very innovative commentary, one which certainly does not get enough attention, and I think that those who participate will learn a lot about Chumash and about commentary in general. We have several scholars in residence lined up for the coming year, which will both be great for our membership and incredible for the public relations boost that it will give to our shul. We are a shul. Every time people ask me about our shul from outside of the community, they say it's a young shul. And I say it is a young shul. It's young in terms of it being around not very long, and it's very young at heart. And we are on the cutting edge of bringing innovative programming to our shul. Just as one example, we have been the guinea pig, in a good way, for programming that the Orthodox Union has spearheaded over the last few years. And they've been able to take the things which they started here in Anshe Chesed in Boynton Beach and bring it to other communities around the country. And I want to give you a little bit of a preview of some of the people who we're bringing in. Rabbi Natan Slifkin, who is the zoo rabbi, recently contacted me. He lives in Israel, but he's going to be in Florida in the beginning of November. Would we be interested in having him for Shabbos? And my answer was yes, because in addition to his many books on animals, Rabbi Slifkin runs the Biblical Museum of Natural History in Beit Shemesh. He also has a blog entitled Rational Judaism, in which he explores Jewish thought from the perspective of rationalist thinkers, most notably Maimonides. His visiting us is something we can all be very excited about. What better way to celebrate Parshas Noah than with the zoo rabbi? Rabbi Dr. Professor Adam Ferziger, he holds the Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch Chair for the Research of Torah and Derech Eretz movement in the Israel and Golda Koshitsky Department of Jewish History and Contemporary Jewry at Bar-Ilan University. He is a co-convener of the annual Oxford Summer Institute for Modern and Contemporary Judaism, a senior associate of the Oxford Center for Hebrew and Jewish Studies. He's an intellectual and a social historian. His research focuses on Jewish religious movements, religious leadership, and religious responses to secularization and assimilation in modern and contemporary North America, Europe, and Israel. He's the author and editor of 6 books, all focused on different areas of his research. He's going to be in America for a few months this year doing research, which enables us to get him here without having to pay for an intercontinental flight from Israel. We're looking forward to hosting him in January, which will be, again, great exposure for our shul and a wonderful opportunity for our membership, most of whom are here at that time, to enjoy the scholarship and personality that Professor Ferziger will bring to Anshe Chesed at the end of January. We're planning to have a Shabbos with YU. One of our members, for those who don't know, is Rabbi J.J. Schachter, who is the university professor of Jewish history and Jewish thought and a senior scholar at the Center for the Jewish Future at Yeshiva University. He's going to be joining us for a Shabbos in his professional capacity at a Shabbos we're designating as an Anshe Chesed YU Partnership Weekend. YU is looking for friends. Our shul has always had a very good relationship with YU. The Yeshiva University has given scholars and programs to our shul over the years, especially before we were in this facility, in this building, and we're celebrating that partnership with Rabbi Schachter over that weekend. YU is looking for people who would be open to meeting with the YU representatives when they are in town that weekend, and I would be most grateful to anyone who would be willing to join in that group. As an aside, when I told Rabbi Schachter that we were bringing Professor Dr. Adam Ferziger here, he said, incredible, that is going to be so wonderful for the shul, because he really will be. We have scholars who are going to be giving presentations of their recently published books on fascinating Jewish subjects, some from more recent history, such as the Holocaust. Professor Oren Steer, who is a professor of religious studies and the director of the Holocaust Studies Initiative at Florida International University, he's going to be presenting a multimedia journey to some of the surprising ways that the image and persona of Anne Frank have survived the Shoah, leading her to become one of the most notable icons of the Holocaust, as we know, but utilizing rare photographs and other materials, both familiar and unfamiliar. Professor Spear reveals the young girl and the teenage diarist in a way we never knew. He makes a convincing argument for why, even though she perished in the Holocaust, her afterlife, in the manner that we all know, in a paradoxical way, makes her a kind of what he calls the most famous survivor. Stephen Pressman, a journalist who wrote a book called 50 Children, One Ordinary American Couple's Extraordinary Rescue Mission into the Heart of Nazi Germany. The book reached #1 on the New York Times bestseller list for ebooks in December 2015. He also produced a documentary film of the same title, 50 Children, the Rescue Mission of Mr. and Mrs. Krauss, which premiered at HBO in 2013 and was nominated for an Emmy Award in the category of Outstanding Historical Programming. So he's going to talk about his book here in November. And we're going to be welcoming Professor Emily Rose, who's a journalist and historian who specializes in Christian-Jewish relations in the pre-modern period. This fall, she is the visiting scholar for medieval studies in Harvard. Her book, The Murder of William of Norwich, The Origins of the Blood Libel in Medieval Europe, was chosen as one of the 10 best history books of 2015 by the Sunday Times. She's going to present her findings about the most heinous accusation, the blood libel, and how it endured for centuries and led to torture, pogroms, and expulsion and supposed revenge. She's also going to present some of the imagery of the blood libel and its use in anti-Semitic propaganda that is still present to this day. We've been talking about redesigning the lunch and learns to bring in people who can inform us about social issues instead of just a visiting rabbi who we've already had before. If you're affiliated with an organization such as APEC or the One Israel Fund or something close to your heart and you know of a representative who will be in town, please let Murray Moskowitz know, because if the person would give a presentation to our membership on a weekday afternoon lunch and learn, we'll learn something interesting and important, and maybe the organization will get something out of it too. It never hurts to try. We have a new series this year, similar in design to the Prophetesses series, though this time it's going to be featuring local rabbis who are going to speak about different topics in the series we're calling Insights into the Talmud for the Perplexed. Some of the titles which we have, how the Talmud is the basis for our halachic system. Don't take it literally, Agadata, and how we should understand larger-than-life Talmudic tales. Eliyahu HaNavi in the Talmud, how are we to understand his appearances and the strange tales that in which he appears in the Talmud. We have the movie night is going to continue as well. It already has most of the movies, I think, picked out for the year. The book club has a very exciting schedule of books, which has also been presented to those who are in the email list. Anybody who wants to join the email list can send an email to my wife, hannahbillet@gmail.com, and she'll send you out the materials in advance of the book club. We've also arranged for a 6-part workshop on parenting, featuring local Orthodox psychologists and social workers who are going to share tips and advice on how to raise children in the smartphone generation. It's obviously geared towards people with children living at home, but it's also great for grandparents whose children are dealing with similar issues. Perhaps information from these lectures could open up important conversations with our children and grandchildren who are dealing with similar issues. Holidays are going to include their own schedules of classes. Sukkah for all, only on Sukkahs, sorry. Thoughtful Simchas Torah programming, Thanksgiving dinner, a Hanukkah party, a Purim Suda, a Yom HaShoah event, hopefully a Yom HaTzva'ut celebration this year. At the Hanukkah party, we look forward to hosting a magic show by Chad Juros, whose story is unbelievable. He had leukemia as a child, and nowadays we might call him a statistical miracle. His father introduced him to magic while he was in the hospital, and that became a key to his survival. Sadly, though, after being in and out of the hospital for 7 years, his story turned for the better. His father passed away at the age of 41, shortly after Chad was released from the hospital. Chad is an international performer and a motivational speaker who lectures across the world, and you can find him. He was actually on the TV show Penn and Teller, Fool Us. You can see what he did there. He seems to have a very wonderful personality. We look forward to hosting him on Hanukkah. For all of these events, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Purim, Yom HaShoah, Yom HaTzva'ut, there are committees and opportunities for our membership to get involved in making these events not just successful, but special and hopefully spectacular. We also have an active sisterhood that outdid itself on spectacular Mishloach Manos baskets this year. During the season, they host monthly events such as Rosh Chodesh breakfasts, or the Rosh Chodesh Adar play. The women look forward to the annual all-paid-up membership luncheon, which highlights the contribution of a very deserving honoree. Moving on to the youth. A friend of mine once told me that in order to get adults into the building, you have to feed them. In order to get kids into the building, you have to give them good programming. And in order to get parents of kids into the building, you have to get their kids into the building. I was once at an event for rabbis, and Rabbi Kenny Brander spoke there. And Rabbi Kenny Brander is very well known for building up the Boca Raton Synagogue from a relatively small synagogue into one which is famous the world over as it is now. And he's mentioned that his vision was to fill the lobby with strollers, and that in order to do that, he said you need to have excellent programming for youth. So I want to let you know what we've done here with regard to that. I think it's very important to understand that as much as we all are aware that the demographic of our shul is very largely the 55 and up variety, that doesn't take away from the fact that we do have families in the shul, we do have children in the shul, and that everybody here, at some point, many people here I should say, I'm not going to say everybody, at some point in time or another, have children or grandchildren who come visit, and they would benefit from the things which we're providing. So we decided to create a program and a system actually to fund it with respect to the youth directors that we're looking to bring in. And I'll go into a little bit more of that in detail. First, you should know that NCSY has their programming that takes place in this neighborhood, and it is housed here. But youth in general, it's much more than just NCSY. And as important as this is to the vitality and the future of the shul, it's also for the future of Am Yisrael. We, as a community, have a responsibility to the children that we are in contact with. I've seen guests who are here, who've been here for Shabbos, especially in the January season and in the holidays, who sit in the hallway and they complain, or they wonder why there's nothing for their kids to do. So we're looking to change that, not just mostly for the kids who live here throughout the year, but also for those who are going to be here in those intermittent time periods. We have Jewish classes aimed for homeschoolers and public school kids. That's essentially what's funding the youth programming. Revenue from this is going to pay for the youth directors and our pre-holiday activities. The things we have done to date have generated excitement for people in the community and are going to be invaluable for the future. When families with children looking to see if Boynton Beach is an option for them will come to Anshe Chesed and won't hear what we're planning to do, but will actually see what we are doing. We had a youth Shalashus a few weeks ago. There were over 30 kids here. We had a breakfast this morning after the 9 o'clock minyan, which had a number of children and teenagers as well, and this is a beautiful thing, and we're hoping to see more of that. We're looking to expand the Shabbos morning programming beyond the babysitting, which we provide in the teen minyan, as well to give programming for the kids who fit in between thoughtful, mindful programming so that they can learn siddur, they can learn how to daven, the Shabbos davening, which is not typically taught in schools, and give them the opportunity to do that as well. The Sunday morning pre-holiday activities, which I mentioned, will take place on the Sunday before the event. So if there's food going on, or if there's a craft going on, those activities will cater to the kids and for their families in advance of the holiday. We're also looking to have Saturday night events for youth after the clock changes a few times a year. Right now we're planning 7, some inside the shul, some outside, like roller skating, ice skating, bowling, whatever it may be, but we're just looking to arrange it to give the kids a feeling that we're part of something special, and their families to know that this shul cares about our families as well. Some of these are free services to the community, but we also have a youth department membership structure, which will bring in a little bit of revenue to help fund these programs. In addition to that, and this is something everybody needs to know, members have approached me about doing things later in the evening when kids have downtime, if they're finished with their homework, but they're not going to bed yet. How to get them off of the television or the smartphone or whatever it is, the screen that they're using, to create a learning program. Maybe there are people here who have some time in the evening, would like to learn with a young man or a woman, have a chavrusa. Or maybe there are people who could mentor a young person in learning in learning or in a craft, share an interest in a hobby, whether it's music, art, computer programming, woodworking, whatever it may be. But to please let us know. And by us, I mean you can let me know, you can let Mari know, you can but just to speak up and let your information and your offerings be made available so we can try to pair you up. I think it'll be an amazing thing for the kids to get to know people who they would not otherwise get to know in a way which is so conducive to creating a wonderful friendship. Now, moving on to the third portion. Okay, and this is the question of finances. Now, you're going to listen to all this, you're going to say, wow, that's amazing, but that probably costs a fortune. And while it doesn't cost a fortune, it is true that to bring in specialists and experts, it does cost money, and they need to make a living as well, but we are hoping to be the beneficiaries of what they're bringing. Many hours were spent over the summer, emailing, calling, negotiating, and finding what we believe are the best financial arrangements we could make with the anticipated guests. Some of them are actually asking for travel expenses only. Some are coming for a nominal fee. Some are making a huge concession on our behalf because they are wonderful people or they have a connection to somebody in the shul. And some are nonetheless quite reasonable for what they are going to be giving to us. We're trying to make programming a little something for everyone. And we're looking for partners, we're looking for sponsors, supporters, different levels of sponsorship for the educational program, which we're hoping to put on a display in the lobby throughout the year, updated every so often to reflect the new names that we're looking forward to having added. If a particular speaker or event is something you'd like to sponsor, or if the date of a yard site you're planning to observe coincides with something you'd like to participate in the sponsorship of that event, please let me know. My wife and I believe in this programming so much and in the value that it's going to bring to our shul that we are giving, not prepared to, we are giving $1,000 towards the education program this year, and we're hoping that others will join with us. If you are, or if you know someone who is a graphic designer who can help us put together a brochure that's going to feature all the programs that I've laid out this evening at a reasonable rate, or as a chesed, we would like to put this together as soon as possible. All the information is ready. We just want it to look beautiful. Now, I want to make clear that all of this stuff that I'm talking about is, of course, a bonus. There are different attitudes in general in shuls across the country and perhaps across the world about a rabbi's involvement in shul finances. Some say it's very important. Some say it's better for the rabbi to not be involved. And I'll be happy to give a Perush Rashi on that in private to anybody who wants to understand why it's better for the rabbi not to be involved. But I think that some things need to be put out in the open. The shul still has debt on this building which we enjoyed so much and which we use to the max on a weekly basis and on a daily basis. Anyone who has creative ideas or practical offers for how to lower that debt so we can pay it off within the next few years, please speak to Arthur Small or, of course, the president, Harry Sarnoff. We've had some physical improvements done to the shul recently, the expansion of the restrooms, the replacement of some of the lights in the shul to being LED lights, the high holiday windows. There are more things that need to be done. We need a soundproof door to the women's section upstairs because Baruch Hashem, the children that fill the youth rooms on Shabbos are active and make noise. But it's disturbing to the davening. Thank God, this is a problem we should always have. But if we can allay that problem with a soundproof door, just like we have down here, that would be a welcome thing. A shul is comprised of people. Some people want to benefit from the shul and take advantage of whatever the shul offers. Some people want to give back. Some people contribute financially, and some people are in the trenches. We have people who set up the kiddush, who clear the kiddush, who move tables and chairs, who set up and break down a room after an event. We have people who trim the hedges and clear palm branches that have fallen. People who take out the garbage, and people who bring the trash cans to the street on the trash pickup days. A lot of these roles are taken up by the same people who do multiple things. What would be amazing is if every person found a way to be involved, to feel a little more ownership. We don't have janitorial staff. Everything is done by volunteers. Many people have tried stopping me from sweeping or mopping, and I disagree because I believe that everyone should pitch in. And I thank my mother for the training that I received. In the beginning of Parshas Vayakhel, the Malbim looks at the people who are looking to be the divei leiv, people who donated the heart. And he explains the phrase of people who are donating their hearts when what the Mishkan needed was money, saying what it means to say is that all these donations of money are not the only thing that God wants. Of course, we need that. But He wants the hearts. If there was a man or a woman amongst the Israelites who did not donate because the poor people have nothing to donate, they at least dedicated their hearts. They donated their hearts and their thoughts and skills. They determined in their hearts that if they only had the means, they'd donate all the money that they had for the Mishkan and its vessels. One of the things we're hoping to inaugurate this year, I believe a letter went out in June about it, we'll probably change the date to the beginning of December, is the Anshe Chesed Care Network, to give people who have the ability to do Chesed the opportunity to be involved in Chesed for our membership who need help. We divided it into 5 categories: meals to prepare for various occasions included, but are not limited to Shiva, or for people who are recovering from illness or sitting at the bedside of a critically ill member of the family; transportation, arranging for or driving someone to a doctor's appointment or to a Shul event on Shabbos or Yom Tov, bringing the homebound in a wheelchair if they are otherwise alone. And we have people who have volunteered to chair these different categories. Errands, there are some people who need assistance with errands, such as food or grocery shopping or just any type of going out. Bikur Cholim, to arrange for hospital visits or home visits. Many of our members do this anyway, but some aren't aware of who or where people are and who needs to be visited. And of course, Shiva houses. Unfortunately, we've had quite a few in the past year, most notably after Pesach. With much thanks to our Shiva House coordinators at Cohen and Stewart Schonbrun, we've had wonderful success, for example, in making sure that the Shiva House had a minyan and that the Shul had a minyan, because we always see people coming off the street and don't know about a Shiva House, and so the minyan at Shul also needs to continue even while we have a Shiva House, and this is going on even during our quote-unquote off-season as well. It was a beautiful thing. I've been asked by some people if I have a discretionary fund or a charity account. To date, these have not been set up, but I think that it's time. Because if we're going to be a force in a community, of course we have to look out for our own people first, but we should also be able to look out for the greater community. For example, I just received a phone call on Thursday from someone who, and I know this person, and I know the situation very well, who, owing to a whole litany of life challenges, cannot put food on the table. The person is living with 2 children. We must help this person. I want all accounts beyond general operation to be set up with the proper discretion, but as well as the oversight necessary, so there is no question of mishandling of money for a discretionary fund, charity fund, and of course for the youth department. Every year we grow. More people are making the switch to full-time. Many people are buying and transitioning to Florida part-time. With the help of everyone here, in person, and those of you watching on the live feed, we're going to continue to grow and make this shul into the destination that it continues to be, not just in the quote-unquote season and in December and January, Pesach, but throughout the year. May Hashem bless us and our synagogue may it be fulfilled, that Hashem yivarech esamo v'shalom. May we all be written and inscribed for a good year. Siva v'chasima tova to all. I'll take a few questions, but I know the Packers. Okay. If anybody has any questions about anything that I've talked about or anything, just a question, not a speech, I'll be happy to take them now. Yes?
I have one issue you said about people being able to the shul in wheelchairs. The shul is not handicap accessible, and that is something that must be taken
Okay,
care of.
so that is an excellent point. People who, I mean, generally people who are brought in a wheelchair, they can walk a little bit. So that is not, but you're 100% right. We do have a ramp on the outside, but it's not sufficient because of the gravel, and that is something that the shul needs to address. Agreed, 100%. Yes.
Do you have the date for the Hanukkah holiday, or is it?
December 28th. Total recall. Okay. I believe it's Wednesday night. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay. Well, I thank you all so very much. I thank Stuart Siegel for arranging the live feed for us. Thank you all for coming out this evening. slide button.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.